Hello, everybody. So the baby is still alive, which is a very good thing, and I'm starting to think that maybe it isn't a boy after all. It's still too early to tell, but it's starting to feel more like a girl, and as the week has progressed, I've been thinking that it feels much more like a girl. So we'll see. It's still too early for me to get a really strong feeling for it, so I'm just kind of waiting and holding on. But so far, everything seems to be going very well, so that's good. I got a letter from a gentleman that I'd like to read to you guys and talk about some of the things that he's asking advice on, and hopefully, you guys have some good comments and ideas to go along with that so that we can give this gentleman some good advice. I'm a 24-year-old with over 9 years of depression and hormonal imbalance, which makes me unbearably tired, but it's slowly been getting better. Later on, he also writes, I'm decent looking, but am overweight. So, the very first thing I have to say is find some sort of exercise that you enjoy doing, that you're willing to make yourself do on a regular basis. And this serves multiple different goals. The first goal is to make you healthier. It's always good to be healthy. You deserve to be healthy. It's healthy to be healthy. The second thing is regular exercise, regular strenuous exercise can work as a very, very mild antidepressant. When I say mild, I mean really, really mild, which means that it's not necessarily going to cut too deeply into major depression. It's not a miracle cure, but it does have an effect, and that effect can be very helpful and beneficial. So if you have any kind of mood problems, if you're struggling with depression, if you're struggling with low energy, exercising regularly might kind of help to balance things out and get you just a little bit more energetic and feeling a little bit better and a little bit healthier. It helps to find something that you enjoy to do, because if you don't really enjoy it, it's not going to be easy to make yourself do it every day. And also, if you do enjoy it, it's much easier to really throw yourself into the exercise more wholeheartedly and get a very good workout as opposed to a lackluster kind of bare minimum workout. And this is something that I noticed with pole dancing. When I started pole dancing, because I really loved it, I would exercise as much as I could, and I started having much better physical results from my exercise than any other form of exercise I had previously done. So find something that you love, do that regularly. An added benefit, of course, it will make you look more attractive to women, which is always a plus. But just on a you level, like a lot of things that you do to improve yourself will make you more attractive to women. So ignoring women, do these things for you, and they will help you, and that's kind of important. I'm also in contact with a psychiatrist to see if I have some form of Asperger. He later says, I have decent social skills in spite of my condition, through trial and error mostly. So that's good, it sounds like. I'm not familiar with Asperger's at all. I've heard little bits and pieces about it. I don't know much about how it functions. I don't know how much it affects a person's social life. I know that it varies depending on an individual's circumstances. So if you say that you've kind of got it under control and you're doing decently well, that sounds awesome. I'm really happy for you then. I'm afraid I don't have any great advice in regards to it, but we'll keep going on and see if there's anything else I do have good advice with. I suspect I have above average intelligence, which is not me bragging, but something that has been pointed out by other people throughout my life, which I don't know whether to include or not since it sounds incredibly arrogant. That is kind of the problem with high intelligence. It's definitely a double-edged sword. I know a lot of people who are highly intelligent who are very socially fluent, and it's just easy for them. Like social stuff, they understand it, they're very intelligent, and so they can kind of do the social thing and still blend into society well. My husband's like that. He's incredibly socially fluent, and it's just beautiful to watch him. He's just good at it. I am not. I have never been particularly socially fluent. My upbringing did not. My upbringing was not the kind of upbringing that makes a person socially fluent at all. And then on top of that, as things got increasingly stressful for me, I self-isolated. And so by the time I hit adulthood, I had, the social skills of like an elementary school kid, only I was an adult. It was not good. And so I met and got to know other people who were of above average intelligence, and they also were not socially fluent. And so it's not like, I think it's very easy for people to assume that people who are above average in intelligence just they're just good at everything and everything's easy for them. And so, like, living with above average intelligence is just living life on easy mode, and in some ways it can be because you're smart enough to figure things out quicker than other people, so you can capitalize on things that are going to be more beneficial to you. The problem is that doesn't mean that you're living life on easy mode. If you are of above average intelligence, you are interacting with a world that was not designed for you. And I think this is something that people with, roughly average intelligence don't really realize. A person of significantly above average intelligence is going to be interacting with a world that was designed for a person of normal intelligence. And they don't always fit in very well. I've made friends, like, I like to make friends with people who are smarter than me, so I've made plenty of friends who are very intelligent. And they've had experiences that, I've kind of noticed here and there where the world just isn't really built to fit them. And it sucks. If you are a person of very high intelligence, it's just going to be a little bit tricky sometimes to make the world fit you. And it's unfortunate because it's such a taboo subject. Like, even reading this paragraph that he wrote in this letter, it's a terribly taboo subject. You can't talk about it because it's such a coveted aspect. It's such a coveted trait that anybody who has it should be humble and not talk about it, which is really not helping at all. But no, it's a problem. And another thing that makes it a problem is when it comes to the dating world, as a person with above average intelligence, how do you interact with other people on their level in a way that's going to be interesting and engaging for you? The thing that I found that does help with that, especially if you are not a complete just social butterfly, like me, find friends who are very extroverted. And number one, you get to learn social skills from them, and also you get to have a friend, which is a good thing. But extroverted friends tend to pick up people as they go along, and it's really funny. Like, I have extroverted friends, and they're constantly introducing me to people. And so my husband, I met through an extroverted friend of mine. I have other friends who are extroverted at this point who have introduced me to yet more people who are becoming my friends. I'm not good at making friends on my own, but extroverted people, like, you don't necessarily want to use them as a dating service, but they do have an uncanny tendency to introduce you to lots of people who might share similar interests with you, especially if they themselves are of above average intelligence. So hopefully that helps you a little bit. I know it definitely helped me. The main issue that I find when interacting with women is whether I find them attractive or not, and no matter the circumstances, is keeping a conversation going or even finding one to begin with, since, quite frankly, my interests are so different from the majority of females. It seems to always begin and end with general questions and pleasantries, and that is despite me trying to push the conversation more deeply. But no matter who or when, women as a general rule seem to only answer a question and then don't ask anything back. It's a bit like playing ping pong against a wall. I would like advice on how to go beyond the pleasantries in a conversation without being too forward or aggressive. Now, this is one thing that I think people in the comments will probably have much better advice than I do on, because I was not really sure how to fix this problem, how to give you advice on this one. The thing I keep thinking when I read this is, if a woman is interested in you, she'll start interacting with you and try to keep the conversation going more. I understand that women are generally not as good at keeping a conversation going, and that's kind of the first shit test you encounter with women, where you start the conversation up and they kind of just let you flounder along for a while and they don't necessarily give you too much. And I don't think it's a conscious thing. I think women just tend to do this, and I think it does help them because they can kind of figure out whether you're interesting or not by the conversation that you engage with them. So it is good to have some interesting stories or interesting things to say to a person when you start talking to them, so that you can hopefully engage them beyond just those little, hey, how's the weather kind of pleasantries. That's actually something Mystery Method was a good book for. I mean, I don't necessarily enjoy or appreciate any of Mystery Method's more manipulative tactics or any of his suggestions that you just lie about things. I think that was bad advice, but he does have some good advice for starting conversations and trying to engage the interest of your female audience quickly. And that's good advice. If you do have a woman's interest, she will keep the conversation going. And the more interested she is, the more she's going to invest herself into the conversation. So if you're just exchanging pleasantries, if you get that feeling that you're like playing ping pong with a wall, it means she's not that engaged in the conversation. She's not that interested. And so at that point, you've kind of lost her. If you are highly intelligent, if you have unique interests, you really need to find a woman who's going to share those unique interests with you. You need a woman who's highly intelligent and maybe doesn't necessarily feel completely compelled by those interests, but is interested enough to listen and be engaged in a conversation with you. The best advice I can give at that point is keep looking for a woman who's highly intelligent, who is interested in the kinds of things you're interested in. And one of the best things you can do at that point is make extroverted friends, preferably extroverted friends who are of above average intelligence, maybe even interested in the things you're interested in, which isn't necessarily going to be easy if the things you're interested in are astrophysics, and the only guys that you find in astrophysics are kind of nerdy and not particularly social, but that's kind of what you need to do. You need to find an astrophysics kind of girl, or someone at least who's going to be interested enough in what you have to say that she's going to hang on to what you're saying. My husband he's got things that he does. He has activities that he does that I don't engage in. Some of them are recreational activities, some of them are work activities. And I know that when he's talking about them, these are things I'm never necessarily going to do myself, but it's interesting listening to him. And so I hang on to what he's saying and I pay attention to what he's saying and I ask him questions about what he's saying because I'm interested in him and the things he has to share with me. So you might not necessarily, we're just using astrophysics as an example. I don't know what your actual interests are, but say you did find a girl and she was intelligent and she was interested in you. She wasn't necessarily into astrophysics, but she was interested enough to listen to you. That's really what you need. And it's one of those things, you keep rolling the dice, you keep looking for somebody who's very engaged in you and very interested in you, and eventually you'll find them. Which is, it's frustrating, but the good news is you're young, you have time. And if you're working on self-improvement and things like, getting exercise, kind of improving any depressive issues you have, improving your weight and your physical appearance, that's going to benefit you as well. I really would recommend getting a social friend, and number one, you can learn off of them and you can have more trial and error kinds of experience with social skills, but also social people have a tendency to just kind of rope in other people. I think sometimes that extroverts are like one extrovert with like a crowd of introverts just kind of circling around them. And that's how they operate. Like, it seems to be the way that things are. Like, I've met so many extroverted people that I've kind of made friends with because they're very warm and friendly, and I'm not always good at that sort of thing. So those are the people who kind of end up getting me into their little circle. And it's usually a lot of kind of more introverted people than they are, and then I end up making friends with these people. So, try that out and see if it doesn't help you. And good luck. Good luck. If anyone has any good suggestions, definitely mention them in the comments section. So that's it for this video. It's a relatively short one, but these were my thoughts after reading this letter. Hopefully they are helpful, and hopefully some people in the comments have even more suggestions and can kind of expand upon these ideas even further. That would be awesome. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I'll talk to you guys later.